Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brady Joker here. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be doing another director's rank. Today, we're going to be doing Darren Aronofsky. This guy is also known as the darkness enthusiast because the most notable thing about this guy's work is that this guy, he just gets dark. He always has this thing in his movies that I like to call the Darren Aronofsky edge. Because his movies are just so distinct in their tone and their atmosphere and the way that they're shot that just gives them a certain feel that just makes you unease. And with the release of his newest film, Caught Stealing, I figured, hey, why not? Let's rate this whole man's filmography. So, let's get started at number 9. So, coming in at number 9, Noah. Of every single Darren Aronofsky movie, all of them seem to have at least a voice as to why Darren Aronofsky made them. I can pinpoint a reason, like a good reason to why I think Darren Aronofsky had this story, had, certain actors do some things, and this one, I just can't. I just don't see the vision here. It is painfully slow. All of the actors, while they're very talented, the writing here just doesn't really do them justice. I was just very uninterested the whole time. The story of Noah, it kind of just takes it into a very weird route where it's almost like a dramatic thriller at times, which simply doesn't work for me. And I don't know, this movie just fell very flat for me and easily just his most tasteless work of art, if that's what you want to call it. And not too much better than Noah, we do have The Fountain, 6 years after his second film, Requiem for a Dream, which is kind of mind-blowing. Like 6 years after your biggest hit, like it's kind of crazy. And I don't know if I'm alone on my disliking of this movie. The story here, it just did not resonate with me at all. Like, Hugh Jackman, he does fine here, but this movie just has so much weirdness that just didn't make sense to me. Like, maybe I'm due for a rewatch on this one because I've seen it, I watched it a while ago. And man, do I just forget this whole movie. This is easily his most forgettable work. While I think Noah is his most tasteless, this kind of has its own style, at least. The cinematography is interesting at points, but man, it's just forgettable. I feel like there's a lot of symbolism and themes that I personally just didn't pick up on. I don't know, this one just didn't do it for me. And at number 7 is Darren Aronofsky's debut, Pi. This is the first, this movie's it's alright, it's mid, it's whatever, it's eh. This is another one where there was a very complicated story in the center of it that I just didn't really connect to. Mainly because I just hate math. And with the name of the movie, being Pi, you can assume that there's gonna be quite a bit of math involved in the movie. Which there is. The main guy, he's like a mathematician. This is another one that I actually watched a very long time ago, but yet there are still parts of it that still stick in my mind. I remember the feeling of urgency that I had, especially in the last act of the film, where things were really starting to pick up and I started to have to catch my breath at points, which was really interesting. As well as you can very clearly see the Darren Aronofsky edge that I was talking about earlier, portrayed in this movie pretty well. Of course, it wouldn't be fully realized until his next movie, but you could certainly see a lot of his kind of iconic shots that he would experiment in this film, like the POV, just very locked in shot on your subjects as they move around. It's very nauseating and it creates a very good atmosphere for the movie. So yeah, while this thing isn't perfect story-wise, it's an interesting watch at the very least. Alrighty, number 6, The Whale. I actually don't mind this movie. In fact, we're getting to the good movies. Yes, I do actually kind of like The Whale. If I were to say something about this movie, it does a really good job at putting you in the moment of the movie. But then afterwards, it's not really an aging well type of movie where afterwards you start to think about the movie and then you're like, hold on, maybe it's not as good as I felt when I was watching it. Because the emotional beats did hit me in the theater. I was, you know, I was moved relatively. And then afterwards I was like, wait, nope, I kind of didn't like that. Or at least I didn't like certain parts of the movie. Of course, we're going to talk about Brendan Fraser's performance here, which, you know, was his big comeback to the industry, and I think it fit Darren Aronofsky's style really well, his performance. But I don't know, at the end of the day, this one kind of just feels like Noah a little bit, where it's a little bit flavorless at points. Like, there's a lot of things that just don't really add up, like the whole preacher boy thing, or the, what are they called? I can't. Jehovah's Witness dude. That's what they're called. I couldn't think of the name for a second. His whole thing, like, why the fuck was he in the movie again? I genuinely don't remember. Now again, I haven't seen this movie since it was in theaters. I saw this one in theaters, but I really just don't have an urge to rewatch it, and that is something, that's my biggest complaint with Darren Aronofsky that you'll see, is that his movies are not really ones that you want to come back to, if I'm being honest. Because they're all just such brutal watches. Like, he hasn't made a single happy film. And that's partially why I really respect him. Alrighty, breaking into the top 5, we have Mother. This was this was a bit of a trip, eh? This is a weird one, certainly. That will definitely leave you questioning reality. The movie structure is quite simple. It's this, you know, couple, they're married, and they live in complete solitude, and the mother's working on the house, and then suddenly they get interrupted by some people. That's it. They're not like harmful. Like, they seem very unassuming. They just come by. And then the places that this movie takes you will certainly leave your jaw on the floor. There's certain scenes in here that leave a really bad taste in my mouth, which is the only reason why I don't have this movie higher, but for the most part, I found this to be a very interesting and fascinating movie. The way that it plays with its religious allegories was really interesting. Like, I haven't really seen anything do that before, the way that this movie did it. This movie is very hard to talk about without getting into spoilers, which I obviously, if you know, I try to avoid spoiling the movies while I'm talking about them on for my videos. And this is one of those few movies where I just have to say, if you're interested, go watch the movie. For things I can talk about, Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem do a great job as the two leads, and all of the side performances here. Ed Harris, I believe it is, great job. Very memorable film. This one still hasn't really left my mind since I've seen it. But like I said, the confusion and just some things that really took me out of the film towards the third act keep this from being one of his greats, in my opinion. Alrighty, number 4, Caught Stealing, Darren Aronofsky's newest work, and this was a great time. We are getting into the great movies in the top 4. Of all of Darren Aronofsky's, you know, movies, this is easily, in my opinion, his most accessible to, like, wide stream audiences. If I were to recommend a movie, it would probably be this one to start with for his filmography. Because wow, yeah, this definitely does have the Darren Aronofsky edge with its twists and its turns and its violence and the gore and its themes. At points, it does just kind of feel like a typical kind of action drama film. But splicing it in with the Darren Aronofsky edge makes it a lot more memorable than those types of films, which is why it's this high and why I personally had a great time with it. And I honestly really enjoy Austin Butler. I think he is a fantastic actor. I cannot wait to see what he does in the next couple of years, because he's just honestly growing on my list of my favorite new gen actors, because I think he's great. But yeah, I just had a blast with this one. Saw it in IMAX, loved a lot of the performances, loved the twists and turns that this movie took, very unexpected moments throughout. Loved it a lot, definitely recommend. Alrighty, number 3, The Wrestler. Along with Caught Stealing, I would also probably say this is one of Darren Aronofsky's most accessible films, because this is just kind of a really sad story of a washed up man trying to reconcile with his daughter. So you could basically just say it's The Whale, except this movie is a lot more layered and a lot more personal than The Whale, where you can actually feel sympathy for the main character here, even though you know he's doing it to himself, which you couldn't really do with The Whale because that dude's kind of just a piece of shit. This guy, well, yeah, he's a piece of shit. The way the movie's made and the way it's written still makes you feel bad for the guy, which is a hard thing to pull off, but I think this movie does it flawlessly. There are some slower paced moments in here that kind of took me out of it, but overall I thought this movie was really well done. I had a good time with it. Like, not a good time as it was, I was like, yeah, let's go. But, you know, it was a great watch. You know, it was very sad and thought-provoking. The main performance here, the central performance here by Mickey Rourke was incredible. And it just gives you like a perspective on like, yeah, people might look like they're all right, but you know, there's a lot more going on in people's lives than you know. All right, coming in at number 2, it's Black Swan. Everybody knew it was going to be between these two. It's always these two, but unfortunately, the number 1 is just his only masterpiece in my mind. And not to say that I don't think Black Swan is great, but I do think Black Swan is great, but maybe just a little bit overrated. I just wasn't hit as hard as I wanted to be by this movie when I first watched it. And like a lot of the other movies that I've talked about, I haven't seen this movie in like over 2 years. So I'm definitely due for a rewatch. I probably should have rewatched it before this, but it was always gonna be number 2, and I don't think there was a chance in hell it would overtake number 1, because I give this movie a very good 4 out of 5. Like, it's a great 4 out of 5. It's high. It's great. I love it. Number 1's a 5 out of 5. We'll just say that now. So there's quite a big gap between 2 and 1 in my opinion. Let's get the obvious out of the way. Natalie Portman here. What? Maybe one of the best lead performances of that decade. Single-handedly carries this movie on her back, and she does a great job. Darren Aronofsky handles this character with such care and such humanity while also putting his spin on things, like I've said, his edge, and warps reality around you. And he does it effortlessly in this film. But just due to some reasons that I genuinely cannot explain to you, or else I would be, this movie just didn't hit me like I wanted it to. And genuinely, if I had reasons, I would be telling you them, but maybe it's due to my lack of a recent viewing, or just because that's how I felt when I watched it, and I remember feeling this way. I mean, I gave it a 4 on my first watch. There was obviously something that didn't connect with me, and that's just my only thing with this movie, is I just didn't love it. Thought it was great. I enjoyed my watch, but I think he just has one film that is just obviously his masterpiece. Dude, Requiem for a Dream, man. Duh. I feel like this is an obvious pick, but I really don't know mainstream opinion on Darren Aronofsky's movies and how people rank them. Like, I haven't... Get him back up there. I don't know people's opinions on his movies. Like, I haven't watched any rankings. I don't really look at any rankings of his filmography. This is very, like, I don't know people's opinions on his work. But this, in my opinion, is just like, I don't even really see an argument. This film just hits you in a way that no other film, maybe aside from Mysterious Skin that I've seen, has ever done to me, where it just leaves me with such a hollow feeling by the end that just won't leave. Funnily enough, this is the only Darren Aronofsky movie that I've actually seen more than once. I saw this movie twice, but the last time I watched it was about almost 3 years ago, and yet it is still very fresh in my mind. Actually, the first time I watched it was almost, God, it might be like a year ago, or 3 years ago exactly. Hold on, I actually want to check this. No, okay. I first watched this movie November 26th, 2022. So, at the time of filming this, November 29th, or November 19th, sorry. We're a week away. We're a week away from the first time I saw this movie. I actually gave it a 4.5 on my first watch because I was like, yep, it's amazing. I never want to see that again. but then I did indeed rewatch it, and I was like, yep, okay, it's a masterpiece. Big duh. God, just everybody, man. Ellen Burstyn in this is just so good, man. She is actually just incredible in this movie. She's just one of the most like humanistic like people on screen, and you just feel so bad for her through the whole movie. And Jared Leto and Jennifer Connelly are also freaking fantastic in this, and it's a disturbing watch, man. It's hard to get through. You might be like sitting there hearing me talk about this movie, and it's like, God, this movie, it's so... No, like, I promise you, I love it. It's such a dark side of humanity, and I love the dark. I love watching stuff like that because it's just stuff that, you know, I don't have in my everyday life. It's just interesting to see this side of life and to add so much human and authenticity to it, and it's just sad. These don't feel like characters. At times, this feels like a documentary at times. I'm struggling to find other things to say about this movie because it's just such a dense film. I mean, I could go on about the cinematography and how it just lures you into this world, and it's just incredible. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. I probably will at some point down the road. I don't want to, because again, it's just brutal. But this is pretty easily, in my opinion, his best work and my favorite of his films. It's a masterpiece. What can I say? And that's Darren Aronofsky Ranked. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, of course, if you want to. And yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night, whenever you're watching this. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.